Hey, what's going on, everybody? Boilon here, and today we have a very special video. We're joined by Gangsta KT, and we're going to be talking about the preview blog that came out. I know this is, by the time you're watching this is probably a couple of days late, but I wanted to kind of get thoughts out there, not just by me, but have someone with me. So, welcome back to the channel, Gangsta. How things are going?
Hey, appreciate it, Boilon. Things are going well, man. Really loving the game right now, and I'm optimistic about this roadmap. So appreciate you having me, and excited to talk about it. Hear your thoughts.
Well, we're going to be going over I guess what's going to be probably the next 6 months of things to come ahead. So let's get started. So if you're ready to go, everybody, let's boil this down. Okay, so we have part 2, Siege on Battleworld. Now, both of us have read this in advance now. Of course, it's been a couple of days now. But there's a lot of things to go over. I'm going to zoom. Can I zoom in a bit? I don't want to. There we go. Okay, so we're going to... Yeah, there's a little bit of blah, 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 blah. I really want to talk about is this turning the corner part, because they talk about some of the things that they've kind of worked... What they said they've worked hard on. Some of this is legit. Some of them is like, we'll see. So we've taken a hard look at gameplay and player feedback to do the following. Greatly reducing hoarding events. Would you agree on that?
So far, have had a lot less of those, so that's a good sign.
So no orb, no orb hoarding. You know, we used to have the gold orbs, the training orbs, things like that. So I think that's largely gone. I'm not even sure what exactly that you can hoard anymore for events as such. So I would almost go as far as saying it's completely gone. But maybe donation boxes. Like I'm not even sure if you can do that anymore, to be honest.
I
So
mean, maybe
it's
people are
largely gone.
hoarding like campaign energy refreshes,
Oh, okay.
things like that.
Yeah, I didn't
But
think about that.
but the orbs was the big one, and glad those went away.
Yeah, improving new players' ability to prepare for limited time events. Now, I'm not 100% sure how is. I guess just improving the new player experience. Is that what they're talking about? I'm not 100% what they mean by that.
Yeah, not sure either because it's kind of hard to prepare for the events unless you can hoard, which they're saying they're
Yeah.
going away from.
um,
So I not sure either there.
Maybe their ability to engage in the event, but I mean, I again, it's a bit vague, I think.
Yep.
Setting event difficulty appropriately for many players to feel successful. Again, kind of vague. I mean, event difficulty to me, this kind of means maybe trials. I mean, because that's one thing with difficulties that kind of pops out of my head.
Yeah, or I didn't know if it meant maybe not having as many like cracking milestones on some of the events. Just
Mm,
the perception that you aren't getting everything doesn't feel
I
good
mean,
and pulling those out. I don't know.
I think the whalestones are still very much there on the
They
event.
are.
So if that's what they're meaning, but you know, we'll take their word for it. Ensuring characters maintain their value for a reasonable period of time. Now, this is interesting because I do have a video upcoming that isn't released yet that is going to be talking about nowhere. And so I hope and I'll say this now, and then somebody just like kind of like jumps me and gets their version of this out before I do. But I think that there are some teams and characters that are still, I would say, either they're skippable or they're kind of made obsolete, in my opinion, already. So I would dispute this a little bit, and it's a bit unfortunate. But I, from what I understand about the whole thing, is that basically different teams work on different developers work on different teams. Like there's kind of like different groups that work on different patches and different teams. So I don't know how much like internal communication there is. Like you know when a team kind of gets countered so quickly that sometimes happens in Marvel Strike Force. So at least most of them are usable. It's not that they're not usable. It's just I debate on how good they really are sometimes.
Yeah, and I think our recent example, Sinister Six, I don't think a team you really like much at all, but I think they definitely should hang around for a long time. So that's maybe a sign that improvement there.
Yeah, maybe they're doing better now. That's definitely something. I think that the Sinister Six rework was truly amazing, honestly, and I could see that team being viable, that group of characters being viable for some time to come. So maybe they're doing better on that front at least. And general game stability and reducing bugs. This has been a huge issue for some people, and I still get this on emulators on occasion. My phone largely works pretty well, but I have heard a lot of complaints from Android users, particularly Samsung users, I think, who are having huge issues still with their game. Have you had any problems or heard from others who have?
So I haven't directly. I mean, I've seen on a lot of videos freezes and losing
Mhm.
a Crucible match, and that has to be frustrating. But I'll say, when there's one thing here, they have a similar statement in almost every blog and roadmap. We're going to get better. But one thing that's different this time, I'm really excited about. They talk about what they're going to stop doing. And everyone knows, like, when you're busy, things are all about prioritization. So the fact that they actually like say, "Hey, we're going to take people and stop having
Right.
them work on new projects and instead focus on bugs," I actually
Smart.
think it's more than lip service this time. I really believed
Yeah.
them and hope it's true.
I think that's right here, right? With some of the recent issues experienced, we made a deliberate decision to move people away from other projects to focus specifically on game stability. This level of priority will continue and should manifest in cleaner builds in the future. So I hope that's the case. And what we have seen, and I don't know if you've noticed this actually, but we've had a slowing of character releases a little bit, which they did say that they would do a while back, maybe on the last preview. Actually, when they said that it wouldn't be as quickly, I think characters are coming out now. I'd have to bring up my character spreadsheet, which I'm not going to do right now, but I think characters are like every 10 to 12 days rather than before they were like every week. Honestly, like 7 to 9 days. Like you see one every week. They'd just be barreling out. And
Yeah,
so maybe because of that, they're able to kind of deviate some of their staff a little bit to working on these other things because we're not like pumping out characters every single week. And I think some people were really frustrated with the fact that so many characters were coming out, like we just could not work on them, right? Like
yeah,
I would have the whole patch go by, and I like in some instances I haven't finished them or even touched them in some cases. So I'm kind of glad that we're kind of moving a little bit slower now because it gives us
I
more
agree.
time to kind of think about the characters. I feel the characters were coming out so fast that like I didn't even know what they did, or they would just kind of pass us by in some instances. Like sure, we built them for raids or whatever, but like I didn't really know them, if that makes sense. Like I knew I would build them, I would sim with them, but I can't say that I actually knew their kit in great details because I just didn't really have enough time to digest it, if that makes sense.
And the kits are twice as long, so that
That
I
too.
think compounds it. But no, you're right, and doing that for a period of time makes it harder because we want to know all the nuances of kits. That's part of the
Right.
fun. So I like this slower pace, no question.
Yeah. So I mean, I know that by the time we're recording this, Spider Slayer's out for offer, not free to play yet. But like I'm they're also giving a little bit more time actually as well for people who spend because there's a little bit more of a gap between the offer and the free to play event, I think. I think we're looking at almost like 2 weeks in some cases.
Yeah,
But it does, I think it gives us more time to digest the character, to really understand the character. Because I think
agreed.
characters were coming out so fast. It's like sure I know what they're meant for, but like I don't know what they do. I know that I don't know their kits. I don't know their details of them. And now I think I'm like getting more time to be able to figure them out.
Completely agree. We could do
Yeah.
cookie cutter, but to do more, you need to know their kits. So
They talk about some stability stuff or like the server downtime. I'm gonna kind of skim through some of the technical stuff because that's not really what I want to kind of focus on in this video here. Player feedback. They talk about the PV player council. I think somewhere in there. Maybe I already passed that, and that all that's kind of helped with the player feedback kind of stuff. I think that's basically it. And then Siege on Battleworld. So I really want to like focus on this because this is the new game mode, and I want to get your
yeah,
thoughts on this. So
big
I'm
deal.
glad that they're finally doing a PVE game mode. It is alliance based. Some people may not like that, but at the end of the day, it's a PVE and not PvP mode. So I think that's good. I've been asking for a PVE mode for some time. There is some sort of mega boss at the end. Though what I found most interesting is I think on the surface that this actually it seems a lot like what currently is in Star Wars Galaxy Heroes and Lord of the Rings, because I just finished playing Lord of the Rings, is that basically how this works is you're going through multiple days. I think they said it just says up down here maybe. I forget where the actual oh no, it was up here somewhere. I should have just read through it, honestly. I shouldn't have just skipped through it like this. But yeah, sieges last for 6 days, with each zone offering a new set of daily challenges and rewards. So basically, I don't know, we're gonna have like 6 different challenges or missions or whatever to do with your alliance. As your alliance completes zone missions, you'll advance through the territory, 1 zone per day, and have the opportunity to challenge the boss in the final one. So I guess like 5 daily missions and then a mega boss is what I'm hoping at the very end. That's why I get an idea. The reason why I reference Lord of the Rings is because their raids are 4 days, but each day is kind of like a different task, so to speak. And then you get to the
Okay.
very end, and then there's Lord of the Rings, there's the Balrog at the very end. That's currently what's there. And so that's kind of what I'm and it's not a bad thing to kind of I'm not gonna say they copied it, but they maybe took an idea from. It's not a bad thing as long as it comes out good. I'm okay with that. So what was your
Yeah.
first impressions of seeing this and reading this in terms of, what we're getting in this,
So really excited, and we'll see how it plays out. But I think having an alliance wide PvP mode, I mean raids is that, but I think having
Mhm.
another one should be really cool. And there seems to be more like progression elements and maybe a little less stale than how raids get over time. So really excited. I will say I hope they do it in a way that like promotes engagement with alliances and doesn't promote like those one or two guys getting beat up because they were busy at work that day or something. Like I hope it doesn't turn into that or promote more of that. But if not, this should be great and
I'm
really cool game
I'm
mode.
really glad you brought that up actually, because sometimes, and maybe you've been through alliances that do this, but some alliances can get really hardcore, and like, if you didn't get on to do your thing, you get tagged on Discord and people start, yelling at each other, and I don't want, this game mode to potentially devolve into, toxicity, I guess you could say,
Yeah,
within alliances and things like that. So I hope that there's some flexibility in terms of how this gets completed, and that maybe you don't need all 24 people doing everything at the best in order to actually like get through each of the days, kind of thing. And
I agree.
that would be nice. One thing that's a little bit unclear is, so they say that there's going to be 6 days and each day is different, but is it the same thing every week? So to me, it sounded like almost that we'd be moving around the world basically, because that's why they showed the screenshot with Magneto. And I don't know if
Yeah,
it's just each day is a different location on the world, but I would like to see almost like maybe like a 4 week season, and each week is actually completely different. Like the end boss is completely different. I don't know, I'm not sure what mega boss I would suggest, but like maybe one week's Galactus is at the end, 1 week is Sentinels or something at the very end. That we would have different versions of this. So they haven't really been clear about if it's just 1 week and every week plays out the same, or if there's going to be different rotated kind of sieges, I guess you could say. Also, I think
yeah, that
this is spelt wrong. It's supposed to be SIE, not EI. Just wanted to point that out.
yeah, and that's a good comment, Boilon. I really hope it doesn't get stale. Like I
Yeah.
think it needs some rotation. And heck, with like AI these days, you'd think they could almost auto generate like different enemy compositions pretty easily, but that's maybe wrong. But I hope it does change, or else it may get stale, kind of like raids do over time.
Yeah, because I'm getting confused. Well, maybe I haven't read too much into it, but the zones. So this is We get the photo. This is Asteroid M. Like the whole week is Asteroid M, or Mutopia, or whatever the title of the week is, and then we have different zones. So I'm hoping that there's like, like 4 different versions of like this, whatever we're looking at here on the screen, like just completely different, because it would be great for content creators as well. That you're not just kind of doing one guide for Battle World, and this is it for like the whole 3 months or whatever the season happens to be. I would love like rotating weeks where there's different content every week. Maybe there's only 4 different types, 4 rotations or whatever, but at least every week is a little bit different, so that it's not
Agreed.
stale. And I would love that. One thing I'm a little bit concerned with is whether or not it's just a regurgitation of raids. So I don't want this to be like, okay, we're entering zone 3, and then okay, we're fighting 12 mutants or whatever. Like I don't want it to be just a raid node. That's what
Right.
I want it to have unique objectives where maybe you're attacking things, or killing certain characters, or maybe you have to avoid killing some sort of civilian that's on their team or something, like single target damage, like some sort of objective, right? That kind of, it makes you think a little bit. And I don't want this just to be kill everyone on the screen, because otherwise it's just another raid to me.
Yeah, if this becomes, hey, I need to build, 5 bio characters separate from a raid team. Bio is a bad example, but 5 of some origin that's not raid related, just for siege. That's going to be way too prescriptive, and that won't be good. I think we need to have that flexibility, and they're saying they're listening a lot more, so hopefully they
Yeah.
hear this and make sure that's the case.
I hope there's a very thorough testing period where, they're going to go through this and they think about, whether or not it's going to be stale, whether or not it's too close to raids, that kind of thing. Because they really, I want it to be good. And this is just me saying that I want it to be different. I want it to be good. I want it to be fun, because it
Yeah,
could be the thing that kind of, I love PvE. I'm kind of less interested in PvP a little bit. So this is something that would kind of give my, get my excitement back into the game, I think, as well. And so I'm looking at this here with some of the objectives, and I don't know what we really like. What does this really mean? I don't know. We don't really know that at this point in time. But that's what I mean in terms of the node objectives or the zone objectives. Like I hope that there's something unique there. that's just different. I don't want to just take 5 characters in and essentially do what would be like a raid node. That's it. I don't want that.
Exactly.
So
And I'll say my one other lookout here, and again, very optimistic about it. But about 2 weeks ago, we had a brand new war, a brand new raid. The Goblin Trial was out. There was a Blitz event. Like I couldn't do everything in the game I wanted to, and so like I'm sure some people who have a lot of time want more, but like I'm kind of wondering, is something going to go away? Because at some point I can't just keep having more and more to do,
it's
and I
true.
feel like the game's pretty close to that point right now, at least for me. And
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time on this game, so
So what do you want going away?
Blitz.
Of course, that was
That
the
was
easy
easy.
answer. That was, of course, you were going to say that. Um,
But
Blitz all.
and again, that may be unfounded. It depends on how frequent this is and those things. But that's my one other lookout. I'm super excited, but I don't want it to become where there's more to do than what I can, because
Yeah.
I need to be able to do everything, and I'll get frustrated if not.
Yeah, I mean, we do know that this is going to be 6 days. So I don't know if that's Monday to Saturday or whatever, and with Sunday off, but you are going to be doing every day. You're going to be doing something every day. So you're right. That's adding more screen time on a regular basis, and I would hope they had a conversation about this in a blog post, in the past, that they're mindful of that. So if they're really mindful of it, then they'll need to reduce or drop something. And I know a lot of us are saying blitz, which I would love to see happen. Because or they'll just say, hey, the expectation is, some people will do everything and some people won't. I don't know, but when you're attaching this to an alliance, it kind of has that perspective that you need to. I think,
More
and
mandatory.
that's the problem. And so
Yep.
unless they do something regarding, I was gonna say, because Crucible's a solo thing, largely they need to get rid of that alliance milestone for Crucible, because it's a solo game mode. Stop making it tied to alliances, and they can just do this instead. Do a milestone for this or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're gonna need to think about the screen time, because it can get pretty high, especially if you're in an engaged alliance. So definitely a concern there. But otherwise, pretty excited. I just hope
Yep.
they test it well, and that they do their due diligence, and it could be really great and great for the game, and actually could even maybe bring more people to the game, possibly, because I know that we're kind of in a bit of a plateau, kind of like a where we're not getting a lot of new players, but we're not losing a lot of players. I think we've kind of stemmed the kind of
Yeah.
potential loss of players, especially over the last few months. I think there's a lot of player improvements, so this could be something
Agreed.
that brings people back.
Well, and we talked about it, but this roadmap promised no more bugs, so I'm sure it'll be perfect.
Yeah, well, we'll see about that, right? So we're just going to gloss over this a little bit, because probably you'll have already seen this in the blog post with most likely more details, including kits. But we have Extreme X-Men. Do you think that's the raid team? Let's see if you're right,
That
because we're doing this before the blog. So do you think this is the raid team?
It's my guess. Yeah,
Okay.
not necessarily the one we need the most, but I think it will be the next raid team. Kind of kick off the new raid.
Yeah, I mean, I think that if they're going to be, so I don't know if there's going to be 4 new characters. We'll see. We're kind of predicting, because the Friday blog post hasn't come out yet. I don't know if there's going to be 4 characters and 1 rework, or 5 new characters. But because that they've been kind of slowing the character releases, I could see this over most of the back end of December into January, and then maybe we have the trial character in February, the 5th character, maybe in the following patch in early February. Whoever that trial character is. Some people are saying like Professor X. We'll see if we get information. Let's see if any of us are right, But yeah, I'm. Have you done Incursion 2 in the mutant section?
So I have at the initial difficulty. Haven't
Mhm.
done it at like the higher difficulties, and mutants not too bad there with Apocalypse. I mean it's a little rough, but I've been able to get through it every day without a lot of heals. At the base level.
2.1 and 2.2, I would say, even with Apocalypse, there's RNG. It's kind of frustrating, actually. The things don't go your way, you're resetting the node, and you basically go back in and try again. So I guess this is going to probably, they're going to be so good that you have to have them. I don't know, and I'm kind of hoping that it's not required to have Apocalypse necessarily. Like this, 4 of these guys with Apocalypse, I'm hoping that they're self-sufficient enough that you don't need Apocalypse, just because I don't want people to other players to have to require Apocalypse to get further in this as a requirement.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And in being the newest team, that shouldn't be the case, but we'll
Yeah.
see.
Well, of course, in Bio Incursion, everyone's using Super Scroll for those who have it. So because
Right.
Rebirth just isn't
Have to
isn't
almost.
hanging on, and I think that's where we're going with this next character, which is Symbiote Silver Surfer. But before we do, I mean, this part's interesting that they're kind of wanting to get feedback from the community over more characters, not just Symbiote Silver Surfer. Is it in here actually? Right here in the future, it's something about December. Maybe it was down further down below, where they say that there's going to be another vote in December regarding another character. So that's pretty cool. I think it's down here actually. Yeah, dev team is planning multiple new character votes with your next opportunity in December, only a few weeks away. So thoughts on that? You think that's good? Getting the player involved in that?
Yeah, I think it's definitely good. I mean, for me, I don't care about that maybe quite as much, but people really into the lore. That's fun, and it was fun voting on those symbiote characters and trying to predict maybe where they are going with that. So, I mean, the
Yeah.
more they can have the community engaged, always a positive.
Now they didn't actually say that you're voting on an original character like the Symbiote Silver Surfer, but at least that you'll have some choice, I suppose. In my guess is they're going to give us like a bunch of different characters that have already kind of like predetermined teams, and then we're kind of choosing the order in which they get released. Maybe I don't know. My guess is they already have a plan to some degree, and we're just kind of just we're creating the order of which they're coming out. Is what I think what we're doing, but nonetheless, it's engagement for the community. They like it.
Yeah,
Was this
exactly.
rigged, or is Silver Surfer just that popular? I actually didn't vote for him, but I think I voted for Thanos, Symbiote Thanos, or something like that. But maybe he's the most popular. It's still a cool
Yeah,
design, so I won't complain. That's probably the
yeah,
bio
that looks
raid team, I think,
amazing.
because the
Yep.
symbiotes are bio. This is probably the bio raid team, which will be like after the X-Men, I guess, because they didn't have a release date on this. So
We need it. Can't come soon
unless
enough.
we're voting for another symbiote character, I guess that'll be interesting. So I don't know. Maybe we're actually just getting all four of the characters that were in the original vote. Who knows? We'll wait and see. Like maybe that was their plan all along.
Probably. Think you're onto him.
So now we have Escape from Kyln. Now this is the new tower mode that we're getting. Now this one's pretty interesting because they said that you're going to be using 3 character teams. Pretty sure this new tower mode has a unique twist, where you only bring a squad of 3 characters. Now, what's really interesting about that, I think, is that there's a lot of good duo characters, like the Eternals, for example. So there are a lot of characters that kind of work with smaller groups, and so this will be really interesting to see. I think it does also tell us that we're not getting Sword Satellite again. I think that they're just doing new iterations of new towers rather than kind of rehashing the old one, which
Yeah,
unfortunately does mean that we're not going to be getting them as frequently. So we're maybe every 3 months or something on
yeah,
tower, which has actually something that I want to talk about with diamonds as well, because this
yep.
is where Sword Satellite is where everyone got a huge amount of diamonds, and it looks like it'll be a bit of a longer gap maybe, because there's no other free to play way to get them outside of Crucible, which is slow and not everyone's getting that.
Yeah. And I'll say out of everything in the post, this was actually what I was most excited about. Which may sound weird because Tower hasn't ever been my favorite mode, even though I like it. But this 3 character thing, I'm pumped for that. Like what that'll allow theory crafting is going to be a lot different. And I think it's also a call out to people that built Zugs high. I would guess they're going to have one of the highest teams. You have to have that
The
big
Undying
full
3.
undying 3 piece to beat. But I think it's gonna be fun, like Secret Defenders have a great 3 piece. Some of the older teams they're releasing 3 new tunes for a team for a while. So can we
Mhm.
use some of those again? I'm excited to see what happens with this.
Maybe Infinity Watch. You could do some Gamora, Nebula, Adam Warlock, or Philo. Probably Adam Warlock because you'd get that on spawn safeguard. But some pretty cool combinations, and you're fighting more than like 5 enemies. There's like 7, 6. So I do like that. It's probably going to be a bit of a challenge. There seems to be some restriction though. Later on, we see only heroes. I don't know if that's temporary. It could change, I guess. But there's going to be certain restrictions, and yeah, maybe that's something we need to start thinking about though. I guess this is only going to be a one-time thing, probably. Like we can't build for this necessarily. We just got to think about
Yep.
it when it happens. But nonetheless, I think it's pretty cool, and it's a good idea. I'm a little bit
Yeah.
sad that we're
Fun
not
to do
getting them as
something.
frequently because again, the whole diamond issue, and that's a little bit separate, I suppose. I don't know if you want to comment on diamonds at all and sort of Sword Satellite and what happened there.
Yeah, I think it's important not to get off on a tangent too much, but I'll
No.
say with satellite and with getting like the free half diamond dawn orb every day in the web milestone, like when diamonds first came out, I felt like they were pretty available, and I'm okay. I'm gonna be okay. Who cares if I'm having all these horrible polls? I'll be able to get everyone there. That's completely changed. Like those daily ones went away. These are going to be very rare, and I think things we need to really hoard and plan carefully on.
Yeah,
But
I'm
this
not,
will be a source of them.
not sure if I used my diamonds in the best way, but I did get some. I'm getting value out of it. A lot of them went into Sinister Six. No, I did not buy Swarm. I still didn't buy Swarm for diamonds,
I don't
but
believe him, guys. Just to clarify.
he is very. I'm not going to bring up my roster because it's not open yet, but yes, he's like over 400k. So that diamond did help. As far as escape from Kyln is, I don't know what is Kyln. Does anyone know? Do you know what Kyln is? Is that it looks like a space station. I know a lot about Marvel lore. I'm not sure what Kyln is.
Yeah, I don't know
And if
either.
anyone
I'm not as good at
knows,
the lore as you, but I don't know.
comment down below. So yeah, it does seem that if you restart a run though, you drop down to floor 1, which it does suggest that maybe there's not going to be as many, or it's just going to be really challenging.
Yeah.
So it could be very punishing in that regard. So we'll see.
Well,
I don't
three
mind a
teams, think how
challenge.
many teams we'll have.
It does say battling in this mode is free, but I mean, I think that all the towers was anyways once a day, right? I think I don't know if that's mentioned, but that's typically the tower thing.
Yeah.
So we'll just assume it's Tower 3.0, and don't die because otherwise you're gonna go down to floor 1. Even
Yeah,
restarting a run actually, so it's like you can't even. Probably even backing out throws you back at floor 1. So
yeah.
it's quite risky, I suppose.
I'm excited though. Again, this was what I'm looking forward to the most out of everything. Just that 3-man dynamic. We haven't really seen
And this
that, and
part
I think
actually,
that's going to be a
characters
lot of fun.
can't heal between floors. This is really interesting. So maybe it
Shows.
doesn't say. It actually doesn't say you can't use them more than once. So maybe you can keep going with the same 3 duo as long as they don't die.
Yeah.
So that's interesting too.
Yeah, really
So we'll
cool.
see.
I'm excited.
All right, and last but not least, we have Dark Dimension 7. So the announcement of Mephisto, of course, and I was a little bit surprised actually. I thought they were going to do some sort of culmination event, maybe after all 4 of the trials, not Dark Dimension necessarily, something not Apocalypse, but something like that. That's just a little bit different with the requirements different. So, were you surprised at this or not really? Or what's your thoughts on DD7? I know we're probably looking at spring, I would guess. My guess is March, April for this.
Yeah, I mean, we know another DD is going to come. I thought maybe they'd do something similar to Apocalypse, and while in hindsight, some things could have been better. Overall, I did like that kind of big mission and having something different. I'll say with the learnings from Scroll and how valuable. As soon as I saw this, I was like, how can I start planning for it? That's one thing I've learned. Like, want to prioritize and try and be able to get through that as quickly as possible. But just next thing on the radar to start working on.
Which is
And
exactly how
probably not
we're
yet, but
sort of planning here. A lot of this is not super surprising. We have a lot of the same stuff. They've kind of inverted the lanes for better or for worse. There's now cities up front, global, cosmic. So we have to. I guess you're going to want to start building your city characters first when we get there. They didn't actually say whether or not it's gear tier 19 or not yet. I'm kind of assuming there's going to be a higher requirement, and we're not just going in with gear tier 18 characters. There's probably going to be another progression system. They just failed to mention that. Yeah.
yeah, and unless they did something with ISO, I think it'd have to be gear
Yeah,
tier
unless it's blue
19.
5 on all of them for 25 characters. But even then, I'm not sure if that's a huge thing as much anymore. So it's probably going to be gear tier 19. We just don't know about it yet.
They
But
have to sell something, right, for this. Like that, they have to.
let's talk about this mythic trait because this is the one thing that's new. So they've basically taken all the Dark Dimension characters and Kestrel and Apocalypse, and they throw them into this new trait. So
Yeah,
now instead, you can't double dip with them anymore. No Apocalypse in Global, no Kestrel in Cosmic, maybe Super Scroll, no Cosmic, Dormammu Cosmic, Doom. I actually did Doom, so I'm a little bit ahead here. I know some people did not, but now I have a G18 Doom, so I'm already there waiting because he's probably going to be added into that section for me for Dark Dimension 7. So yay me! Your thoughts
good
on
for you.
the myth? Yeah, your thoughts on the mythic characters?
So I think
And then
one
doing
good
this.
thing is it makes it to what you've already done, like tons of confidence in maxing these guys out, right? Like they're usually the best characters. Some of them are a little power crept, but like it's nice knowing we can invest in them and we'll have a use coming up. I do wonder, like everyone's gonna have the exact same team in this section, and that might feel a little weird. But besides that, I think it's okay overall. I
Ultimate's
guess I don't
rework.
have a strong opinion.
Ultimate's getting a rework. I don't know, or is he the meme there now?
I think at this point he's just Optimus. Like
So you don't think
They just leave
he's
him
not
as
getting a
is.
rework before DD7?
I don't know. Can they monetize it? It's the question. If
It's
so, then it's probably a high
just
probability.
just super weird. Of course, everyone's like, "Why is Ultimus on that list?" But I think it's just flat out all the. He's not even a Dark Dimension character. Actually, it's just
Yeah.
I think he gets red stars in 3. Was it? I forget now. But other than that, yeah, it's weird.
Yeah,
Anyways,
I used them like 3, 4 years ago. I forget the counter, but there was one counter he was valuable for.
Korath and
Um,
Ultimus, you would apply a taunt, and then he would use his ultimate on a taunted
yep,
character and get a crap ton of buffs or something like that, and then just hit them
yep,
really hard. I remember
yep.
that. They said that they might add more mythic characters in the future. Now I don't know. Is it generally identified, but or a special method different from legendary and normal release characters to fit the definition. So Kestrel will be added to Dark Dimension rewards. So I don't know if that means that they're going to be adding more unique characters, so to speak, to this section or not. And a Kestrel, I guess, is probably going into. They didn't say. Some people are saying DD3 rewards for Kestrel. Um, but
It was weird seeing Kestrel on there. Will the other originals become mythic?
mm,
The Vols, the Spider Weaver. But people need her. She's so amazing right now. So maybe they're just doing it to help newer players have a chance to get her.
yeah.
But was surprised to see her there.
Mm. With the rework though, she is really powerful. Those pings hitting for over like a
Unbelievable.
million damage for me. Now this basically means you for sure need 25 characters. So you need 5
Yeah.
mythic, 5 legendary, 5 city, 5 global, 5 cosmic. So it's a flat 25. You can't skip because some people were double dipping right with Apocalypse or Super Scroll or any of these other characters. So now we need 25 for sure.
Yeah, and being the same origins will be interesting. Like City was so easy once you got Robbie. Like, is he still going to be the solution for this, or is it far enough away? We'll have all
Right.
new characters of these origins by then.
Yeah, I mean that's a conversation for another video, but I mean Robbie does share miasma with a dorm, right?
Yep.
So you might have to reconsider that. At least maybe not now because we've already done it, but closer to the time to Dark Dimension 7, you might want to consider taking Dorm into DD6 now, just because you're gonna have to take him into DD7. So a lot of these characters will have to be on that list, including Doom actually, in fact, at the same time. So you might as well just do this if you're coming up the way and you haven't done DD6 yet, then to start considering this.
Absolutely.
And I think that's largely it. There's some quality of life stuff in here. I don't really want to go over, the well, I mean, a lot of this is UI stuff, some website stuff, so I don't really want to touch on that month. Yeah, this is pretty much all website stuff. So, there it is. If you use this a lot, there it is. There's going to be some additional stuff. It's actually good for recruiting. This, I think I saw in this
Yeah.
one here, currently looking for new alliances. Basically, you put what you're kind of looking for, which is great if you use that. I don't really use the recruitment tool, but that's just because I am in a very special position where when it comes to recruiting, it's usually quite easy for me. So that's a
Yeah.
little bit different. I just say I'm looking for members and I get people to message me, and that's fine. It doesn't take too long. But I do admit that this can be a bit of a pain in the ass for other people who are not me looking to recruit.
Yeah.
So
You have your own recruitment route, no question. But I'll say, like in our Captain's Channel Alliance, there's been a lot of excitement for this.
mm.
Recruiting's been so tough, and just thrilled to be able to use a new tool to help with that.
Yeah, I mean it's better to have more things than not, and so it's a good thing to have. Unfortunately, we'll be waiting to April 2024, and of course, I don't have my subject to change button, but we'll see, and whether or not that comes, but it'll be a little while. So that's pretty much everything. There's a lot to be excited about, and I really hope that they keep with this. I hope that they test some of the stuff that we talked about, and that it comes out well. I don't want it to be a buggy mess. I hope they do their due diligence in a lot of this content. And I really want that 24 to be a good year for Marvel Strike Force, and to be a lot. It's not that things aren't fun, but some might argue that things can get a bit stale from time to time.
Mhm.
And I think this will kind of put back the energy in, especially with the Battleworld game mode. Especially, I'd love to see more stuff on that. Any final thoughts?
Completely agree. Yeah, I'll say I think we touched on it. The overall sentiment was so positive. Like in previous roadmaps, when I've seen other content creators say, "Oh, they're going to get better," they're saying they're going to get better. I've been like, "You suckers! They aren't getting any better." This time, I'm the sucker. Like I
Mm,
believed it. The way they framed it, the way they talked about what they'd stop to be able to focus on bugs. Like I truly believe they're trying to listen and make this better and really
mm.
turning a corner, like they said. So I'm the sucker now, optimistic, but I'm really excited about this. No question.
Yeah, some good things to look forward to. Again, I'm cautiously optimistic on Battle World. again, I just don't want it to be another alliance raid. I want it to be unique to its own. I don't want to have to be like, okay, I'm going in here and killing 12 people. That's it. You know, like I want
Yep.
something unique, and so I hope that they
Yeah.
deliver on that. And we'll
If we
see.
start asking, if we start asking for an auto button on the siege,
Yeah,
then they
I
did it
don't want
wrong.
that to happen. I want to actually be engaged with the game. It'll be good both for players and for content creators, whether that's streamers or whatever, to be able to kind of play the game and kind of show that more content to kind of do for us as well, which is great for everyone.
Absolutely.
All right, I think we're going to end things there. So I want to thank all of you who stuck around for the whole video. I'm probably going to put, well, it's probably too late now. There's going to be timestamps probably in this video, but if you made it to the end, great. Then you know, thank you for sticking with it. And in the description down below, I will be adding Gangsta KT's info, his YouTube channel, and all of that stuff. So go over to his channel and give it a check. I know that you haven't really done a ton of stuff lately, but maybe you got some things in the pipe work soon.
Yeah, had a little pause. Admittedly, was struggling to optimize the game and didn't want to give advice that I didn't feel was solid. So was busy in life, but getting back into it for sure. Really excited about what's going on, and do hope get some more good advice out there soon.
Hopefully
And appreciate the shout out.
this road ahead has kind of revitalized your your drive a little bit more too.
Yeah,
And I forgot what I was gonna say. Well, we're here at the end, and yeah, do check out his channel. And thanks for coming onto the channel. And hopefully you'll be back again soon.
yeah, had a blast, man. Thanks for the invite, and appreciate everyone watching.
And to everyone else, stay safe and healthy. And I will see you all later. Boilon and Gangsta signing out.